Hi, everybody. Lamont here, Female Empowerment EFT, and I'm really excited to be here today with Lois Kugler. And she is an EFT practitioner as well, and we actually met in a EFT practitioner forum. And as always, I was talking about working with kids and the whole, mom thing. And Lois actually had some really great insights. So I thought we'd bring her on and talk to her, and then maybe, you guys, if you want to learn more about her, you can reach out to her directly. So Lois, welcome.
Hi, Lori. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this. Yeah, as a mom and EFT practitioner, you know what? There's so much we can do for our kids, for our families, simply by tapping. It's just amazing.
Yes. So now, when when we first met on that call, I was sharing, my own stuff going on, and you were like beaming. You it was like you had like this, like, I know what to, like, I have the answer. Hold on. So I would just love it if you could kind of share, because I mean, it was just wonderful. It's like you were full of, like, you know what it is? It's because you live it, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Right.
like just something that's just kind of, about. Like, you live it, you know it. And so I would love it if you'd be willing to share your story that you shared with us that night.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to share. And so when you were sharing that evening, it really struck a chord with me because as a mom, I know how we feel so much for our children and we want everything to go smoothly for them, and sometimes things don't, or sometimes things don't go smoothly in our interactions with our kids. And so through my years of being an EFT practitioner, one of the things I have definitely noticed is that one way to help, like, myself, my family, my children, is to tap on whatever I'm noticing, any upset that I have that's around, like, say, my kids. So I do that when, as often as I can. And I really had this amazing experience not too long ago that I was like, you know what, I'm going to be like more diligent about this. And whenever I'm interacting with one of my kids and, like, I notice, like, I'm whatever, upset, annoyed,
Mhm.
irritated, I just jotted myself like a note, like a word or two. And then later I came back and tapped on that. And I did this over a period of time. I mean, it's not something that's like super quick and like one time you tap and you're like better. No, it's like an ongoing thing. And yeah, I did that for a good while. And then I noticed with one of my kids, big drama, upset. My child felt like it was like this energy of the world is coming to an end. And previously I would have been like, oh my God, this is so horrible. And I would have felt horrible. Like, I would have been feeling exactly like my child was. And I recognized in that moment, I felt for my child, but it was like a different way of feeling for my child. Instead of feeling that same, like, despair, the world is coming to an end, there's no way to fix this, I was like in compassion. I felt for my child, but I wasn't feeling the same thing as my child. And in that place of feeling different, I could just be there, listen in a totally different way than I had ever done before. And I was like, wow, like, I really felt like I was a different person, a better parent.
So if you think about it, because if you do tend to get sucked into it, or if you end up like absorbing their feelings, right? You're really just you're just kind of feeding in. You're kind of like you're not really helping with the healing if you're like, oh, this is terrible. If you are getting into it, right? And so, and what I love about your story is that it wasn't so much that you like tapped in that moment so that you could deal with the situation. It was, you were doing the work, but it wasn't like it was a lot of work, right? I mean, it was more of just
You
I
know
mean,
what?
it wasn't like hours and hours at a whack. I mean, it sounds to me like it was more like you were, you made a note this bothered me, and you'd address it, and you were tapping on it. And
Okay, so it maybe sounds like it was super easy, but it was a lot of tapping over time.
over time, okay.
Yeah, definitely a lot of tapping over time. And one of the things that I tapped on that I just felt like I needed to share was one I remember tapping on was one of my kids speaking to me in this voice that I was like, that's so disrespectful. That's like completely unacceptable. And I remember in the moment being like, that is so unacceptable. And maybe previously, before I had learned about tapping, I might have like yelled at my kid in that moment because I would have been like, that's unacceptable. You can't talk to me like that. But because of all of like, all of my history of tapping and just noticing that just usually doesn't go very far anyway.
Right.
So I remember making a note, that voice, and later coming back and tapping that voice, that is completely unacceptable. And just tapping on everything I noticed about being spoken to by my child in this like nasty, just really nasty, disrespectful voice. And I would say now when I like it's just my child having their own thing that they're upset about. And it's not actually that they're being disrespectful to me. They're upset about whatever their thing is that's going on for them. Right. So I wouldn't say it was quick or anything. It was like, I think the key is consistency.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So how long would you, how long would you say you have, or how often, like what would you recommend? Like what are you, from your own experience? We know every person's different, every family's different, but for your own experience.
Well, you know what? The thing is, I guess everybody is different, and I tend to be someone who feels stuff like I really feel stuff, like emotions a lot. Like I notice a lot of emotional stuff for myself. So, wow, I don't think I can give a recommendation simply because what it is I think most, okay, so some people don't get so emotional about things.
Right.
Other people are very emotional. They tend to, things affect them. They cry at movies or, so my recommendation is if you notice something is triggering you and you're feeling upset, whatever that emotion would be, whether you're angry, you're irritated, it makes you sad, it makes you disappointed, that's something to tap on.
Right.
And some people are going to have that happen to them a lot. Some people not very often, and everyone, there's like going to be a range, I think.
Right.
So that's why I guess my recommendation is simply when you notice something, try and tap on that. Even if like you can't do it right then, come back.
Right. And then be open to seeing how you are responding differently in your world down the road. Right. I mean, you were doing the work and doing the tapping, and then you had this moment where you realized this wasn't affecting you the way it would normally affect you.
Exactly. I had this moment where I realized I am a different person because that same behavior no longer bothered me.
Right.
It was amazing. It was really awesome, actually.
Which meant you could show up as a mom in a more effective way.
Exactly. I could show up as a mom and I could simply be, and I could be like, I could just listen. I could listen in a totally different way than I had before. Before I was all upset. I was thinking, in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, how are we going to fix this? I don't see any solution. And instead I could be like, okay, you know what? We'll deal with it. And there's either we'll deal with it.
Right.
Yeah. So it's so hard, because that always just depends on the situation.
Right. But you were able to see it with the function of your entire brain. Like you were able to come at this with because they say that, when you're in that like fight, flight, freeze mode, right? You can't access all of your brain. So you were able to enter this situation, and I'm sure future ones and other ones as well, where it's like you're playing with a full deck.
Yes.
You can use your compassion and your reasoning and all these other, just so great. I'm so glad that you were that you were willing to share this, to give other moms, really an example of just doing the work and doing the tapping, and end result is you're able to show up as a different, and hold space for your children in a different way.
Exactly. Like, and if you think about it, how oftentimes as parents, okay, so I guess if I look back at myself when, before I knew about the tapping and something would upset me, and then I would be annoyed or irritated, and I would react to my children from the space of being annoyed, being irritated, and instead now I react from a much calmer place. I can just let them be and have their emotions, let them be and have whatever it is that they're having, let them feel whatever they're feeling. And not like add fuel to, if you think about it, when you're irritated or impatient or whatever, and you react to your child from that space, it's like you're dumping more fuel on the fire, and things get like more intense. And if you can just be and listen and be patient because that's the way you feel, it's a totally different, the situation can play out completely differently.
Right. Well, and the other thing to think about too is our children are always connected to us, right? So they're always feeling, they're always getting something from us. So if they're feeling upset, and if we can come to the situation in like a neutral place, right? Like that, or from a place of, well, let's find a solution, as opposed to how we would normally do it. They're able to, work through their stuff so much faster, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're not our garbage isn't being added onto it, right? Like we're coming to the party to help them find a solution. We're not there, we're not adding our own stuff to it, which is just so important as parents.
Yeah.
So how can these wonderful moms that I work with, how can they reach out to you? How can they learn more about you? How can they connect with you if they want to?
So for connecting with me, they can reach out to me through my email, which is my name. So Lois Kugler, LoisKugler 22 @gmail, or via my website, loiskugler.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here with me, Lois. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And yeah, good luck. Hopefully this, is able to help the moms that you're working with.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.